It is officially the fantasy football semifinals. It is one of the biggest and most important weeks of the year. You've been grinding all season, and you are one win away from punching your ticket for an opportunity to compete for fantasy glory. And if you are listening to this episode, odds are you are on the precipice of greatness. And on today's episode of the Regression to the Mean podcast, we have our top 39 running back rankings in tiers for week 16. I am your host, Shaun Moran, and I am joined by my co-host, Keegan Thompson. And for this week and this week only, my fantasy football arch nemesis, Aidan Haller. Aidan, we have a double date with Destiny this week. You and I, in two different leagues, are facing off for the right to compete for the fantasy ship. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing well. Keenan Allen, if you're listening,
Big
if you got
fan.
some downtime,
Big fan of the pod.
I need you. There's no way around it. I'm in 3 semifinals this week, and you're on all of them. So I need you out there, brother. I hope your heel's feeling well. Maybe surprise. I need you. I've lost everyone else. So no, I'm feeling good. I think this is the last episode of 2023 with all three of us, if I'm not mistaken, actually. So this is a fun wrap up to what has been a really eventful year for the RTM gang. You know, we posted dozens and dozens of episodes. We picked up a ton of you on the mean team. So yeah, thanks for following along. It's been a wild ride. We're just getting started. So thanks to the mean team, really.
I love that transition to just Keenan Allen sadness to just really positive vibes about the podcast. Like that was a very
everywhere.
I'm
everywhere.
Very fun journey that you took us on there. I love that.
That was nice.
Aidan, thank you for being the man. It's always a gentlemanly respect and competition whenever we face off on the fantasy gridiron. Keegan, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. A little bit jealous. I already had my date with Shaun in fantasy football. I will not be going on a date against Aidan this year as I have been eliminated. So it is what it is. Football is over effectively. It's mock draft season, fellas. Shaun, you wouldn't know what that feels like, but around this time of year, usually earlier, Aidan and I, it's about the time we start talking about rookie prospects.
Correct.
And we start talking about what will make our favorite teams better. So I'm heavy in the mock drafts. I'm convincing myself that league neighbors or maybe even a late round QB might be the move. I'm all over the place, but I'm having fun. Football's over for me. So I'm ready to talk some running backs. Help the mean team secure the glory and the championship runs that I could not this year.
Keegan's being humble. He is crushing it in best ball. 66% advance rate in best ball mania. Don't ask how many teams he drafted, dude. But it's pretty amazing. He drafted 3 teams. He's now in the semis in best ball mania in 2 out of 3. This guy's a fucking best ball sharp. So I cannot wait to learn more about how to get better at best ball because I got dunked on this season. So it turns out when you draft a ton of Danny Dimes, Anthony Richardson, and Justin Fields, it's a tough year. It's a tough year in the best ball business.
Maybe for the listeners, we might actually do some best ball playoff drafts.
Oh, we're doing that. We are doing
those are on the horizon. So
playoff drafts. I've already got a whole spreadsheet going for the guys. I'm ranking my favorite teams, my favorite stacks. I'm doing current playoff predictions and scenarios. Running a ton. We're going to do a ton of drafts over the coming weeks before we get ready for the NFL playoffs. Before we dive into our running back rankings, but if you are part of the 70% of people that watch these videos and don't subscribe, please go ahead, hit the subscribe button. We have a goal of 1,000 subscribers, and we can't get there without you tagging along for the ride. If you are new to our rankings, our format is pretty straightforward. I have ranked the top 39 running backs for week 16, and I've broken them into tiers. I'm going to go tier by tier and share thoughts on guys that I'm higher and lower on versus consensus. And along the way, Keegan and Aidan are going to highlight some of the guys that they think you should be starting this week. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you're going to be seeing these rankings along with a bunch of stats. What you're going to see here is the rankings for prospective players. Then you're going to see the defenses that they're playing against. You're going to see how those defenses fare against running backs. Like where do they rank in terms of points per game average? And then how many points per game on average they're surrendering to running backs. Along with that data, you're also going to see expected fantasy points per game rank. And you're going to see fantasy points per game rank over the past month. Expected fantasy points is essentially a metric that evaluates a player's usage and determines how many points they should have scored. It's a super useful stat that allows me and us to find regression candidates. And then also, I think I've highlighted this a bit. My rankings also lean pretty heavily on the last 4 weeks of data. I find that data from the beginning of the year isn't really as accurate as fresh data that we have, especially for younger players that are really coming along and making their mark on the fantasy season. An example of a player whose usage at the beginning of the year is night and day different is Rachaad White. Rachaad White, my king, Sade, absolutely crushing it. He went from like RB 16 usage and RB 22 production to RB 6 usage to RB 3 production. My man is a negative regression candidate. That's how well Rachaad White's playing. And with the last 4 weeks of data, it allows me to more accurately give you guys the best possible rankings. And lastly, this is super important. Each tier is timestamped. So if you want to jump around, feel free to go through each tier that is the most relevant to you. And as always, the rankings to this episode are below in the show notes. All right, guys. You ready to go?
Let's rock and roll.
I want to rock. Rock.
That
was awesome.
Jeffrey
Wow, that was awesome.
That was
you
good.
Guys crushed that. We did not plan that. Okay. Tier 1, I think it's the undisputed 1-2 punch, just like we all predicted at the beginning of the year. Running back 1, Christian McCaffrey. Running back 2, Kyren Williams. So for this tier, Christian McCaffrey, don't care if he's playing against a very good rush defense. I don't give a hoot. This is the king of fantasy football. And then Kyren Williams, running back 2 here. He has a better role over the past month. He has a better role in terms of expected fantasy points per game than Christian McCaffrey. And he's the running back 3 during that stretch. Tough matchup, but he has the best usage in all of fantasy. I'm all in on King Kyren. You know who Kyren reminds me of, guys?
No.
Austin Ekeler. He reminds me of Austin Ekeler.
That's fun.
Unheralded late round draft pick that's just a beast who gets a ton of usage that people are going to be super slow to think is good. I think Kyren is a massive buy in like all formats, especially in Dynasty. We'll talk more about Dynasty later in the offseason.
Yep.
Moving on to the next. What's up?
Before obviously CMC smash, like Kyren Williams, expected fantasy points leader from week 15 as well, but Bijan Robinson is the only running back to reach 15 plus fantasy points against the Saints in like the last 7 games. 6th fewest adjusted yards before contact per attempt at 1.3 yards, and also the fewest receptions per game to RBs at 3.5. So we talked a little bit about this on the wide receiver episode. I'm not going to shy away and try and buck the trend of the most heavily used running back in the entire NFL, but just it's a tough matchup for sure. Just wanted to highlight that.
So you're telling me I can move Sade even higher up? Is that what you're telling me?
Sade.
Okay, so the next tier of guys that I have here, Sade. Yeah.
Keep thinking of like every time I think of the Sade, I think of like the song Shoddy, like or what is it? The song title Shoddy, the Team Pain song. Yeah.
Sade.
You could be my Sade. Yeah.
Probably not doing it justice, but like people get it.
People say that I'm my generation's T-Pain. Okay, so
what people don't know is Shaun was actually a theatrical actor in high school. So yes, he does have some performance abilities.
The more it's like how you guys are getting to know us.
I pretend to know what I'm talking about for football. I do it all the time. Okay, so the next tier of guys that I have here, running backs 3 through 6, Rachaad White, James Cook. I love you, James Cook. Raheem Mostert and Alvin Kamara. Rachaad White is now a negative regression candidate. He's having an incredible season. I've highlighted it a little bit. I saw something here where the Jaguars get absolutely toasted by running backs catching the ball out of the backfield. We're going to call that a big opportunity for Rachaad White, who's probably the best receiving running back in the NFL this year. Him and James Cook probably, right? Like just based off of efficiency. Yeah. James Cook is running extremely hot on efficiency right now, but he is playing in a plus matchup, super friendly against the Chargers, and this game environment screams big James Cook opportunity. So I'll pause here at this tier, guys. Anything you want to dive into? Any other nuggets or thoughts you have on this group of guys?
James Cook.
That's the tweet.
James Cook. I know we've all seen the video going on recently of Squirtle ripping the saxophone. James Cook under Ben Brady is Squirtle ripping the saxophone.
Joe Brady.
It's Joe Brady. Ben messed up the first name there.
It's Modelo time, fool.
100 plus scrimmage yards in every game. Top 12 running back in every game. It's like, if only we just used our best players. Like Arthur Smith, again, if you're listening, like I know we have like some really like marquee listeners and stuff. Like Arthur, man, just play your best players and crazy stuff happens. It's like James Cook is really good at football and Brady's using him really well. So yeah, Squirtle saxophone. If he goes off again this week, me and Shaun both have a share of Cook in our matchup, so it's like something's got to give. If he goes off and we each win one, like I think we can meet at the 50-yard line and shake hands and call it a wash.
I'm up to my eyeballs in James Cook, so I've got several teams with James Cook. So
all good if he goes for a 30
good.
piece.
I'm very okay
all
with
good.
James Cook
all
having
good.
a big game.
All
I
good.
am. Aidan, Keegan, thoughts on this tier before we jump to the next?
Yeah, I want to hop in on the James Cook train as well too. So first off, I didn't even think about this, and I was watching some Underdog, Hayden Winks, and Josh Norris, and Josh brought up the fact that Joe Brady was actually one of the offensive assistants at the time at LSU when Clyde went for like 1,400 yards and was averaging like 4 catches a game. So that was a nice little nugget to remember. And then also, of course, I mean, they're facing the Chargers, giving up the second most receptions per game, almost 7 receptions per game to the running back position, and the 5th most fantasy points per game to running backs. So Jahmyr White went for 1769 and 1. And 3 for 16 receiving, and like his first ever game starting. So
Brady's
I
legit,
like James
dude.
Cook's odds.
Brady's legit. He got a lot out of that Panthers offense with like some pretty bad weapons, and now he's got like legit Ferraris in the garage, and he's like, let Papa cook here a little bit. And that's exactly what he's doing. Let's maybe get some more Steph Diggs involved this week. But yeah, no, James Cook doing just fine with Brady.
Speaking of letting Papa cook, before we get into the next tier here,
that was smooth.
we just wanted to give a shout out to today's sponsor of the Regression to the Mean podcast, Chalkboard Fantasy Sports. Aidan and I can't stop playing this Chalkboard's picks game. We're chalking our board nonstop here. Yeah. You can win up to 100x your money by simply choosing more or less on the projected stat lines of your favorite NFL players. It's super similar to Prize Picks, Pick'em. You've played those games. But what makes Chalkboard Picks unique is the fact that they offer alternate lines. So, for example, this Thursday night, we've got the Rams and the Saints at SoFi Stadium. It's got like a 47-point total. We think this game has shootout potential, and we want to bet on the passing game for each team. You go ahead and download the Chalkboard app right now. The link to download is in the description of this episode. You can take Chris Olave's receiving yards down from 62.5 to 39.5. Cooper Kupp's receptions down from 6.5 to 5.5, and Alvin Kamara's receptions down from 4.5 to 3.5. And you can create a slip that is cashed 73% of the time this season. So if you put down $10, $20, $30, you can double that money with this slip. You can sign up for the Chalkboard app in the link in this description, and you can use promo code RTM for up to $100 in bonus bets, aka free bets, aka free money. We love free money. Go ahead, download Chalkboard. It's one of the biggest ways that you can support us here. It's a ton of fun. Take this slip. All 3 of us are riding with this slip on Thursday night. Come win with us. All right, moving on to the next tier of running backs that I've got here. Running back 7 through 12. I've got Joe Mixon, Bijan Robinson, Tony Pollard, Derrick Henry, Breece Hall, and Jahmyr Gibbs. Am I crazy for liking Bijan this week, guys?
No, that's on my notes too. I think Arthur Smith is kind of like, we're officially coaching for his job.
Yes.
Bijan had 8 touches last week, and he's a frequent flyer in fantasy jail for a reason. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, just stop. Like, just put your pride aside. You're still in the playoff hunt. Go use your best players and go win football games. Like, you just lost to the Panthers, dude. What a disgrace. I think Bijan, big time bounce back. Great matchup too. The Colts are absolutely gettable on the ground. No, I I'm in love with Bijan this week. I think he goes off.
Oh, so the case for Bijan. The Colts have given up the fourth most points to running backs per game this season, 23.4. Bijan is a positive regression candidate, RB12 usage over the past month, RB16 production. This just seems like a total get-right spot against the Colts, and Arthur's coaching for his job. I saw a theory here that he didn't run Bijan against the Panthers because the Panthers essentially had very heavy and loaded boxes because they knew that they weren't going to throw the ball in the rain and because they didn't trust Desmond Ridder. So they didn't trust Bijan Robinson to run into stacked boxes. How are you going to take a running back 7th overall and not run him into stack boxes? How are you not going to let him get better and let him develop?
Stupid. It's stupid. It's galaxy brain behavior.
I'm not a fan of Arthur Smith.
That's
Keegan,
putting it like really nicely.
I really hope he gets fired. Like genuinely, I want him out of the game I love. I'm not having fun anymore.
Go back to FedEx.
Please get out, Arthur. Keegan, thoughts on this tier before we jump to the next one?
Big news for Bijan in the passing game also as well, too. Colts are giving with the 4th most receiving yards per game to the position. Get active in the receiving game as well, Bijan. And then Joe Mixon, it feels weird to have him this high, but at the same time, it's like the guy just scores touchdowns. He scored in 7 of his last 8 games since the Week 7 bye.
Regression.
And
wow.
I mean, he's posted 3+ catches in 8 of his last 10 games as well, too. Obviously, Chase Brown is looming, but Pittsburgh's been bad. They've been crushed for 68+ yards on rushing by 4 different backs in 3 weeks. They've also allowed 4 touchdowns to running backs in that stretch. So good matchup for Mixon. I'm so glad to see Tony Pollard this high in the rankings. I mean, I've got one team left, the Pollard posse. I'm standing on business, and I'm rolling with Pollard again this week, and I hope he really is firmly in RB1.
In PPR, the usage is top 5 in PPR. Like, and he's been efficient too. He's been an RB12 in production over the past month. Last week was a stinker, but
I didn't even realize this. He's like top 7 at the position in receptions.
Yeah, he's crushing it. It's always
like top
been
5,
about
actually.
It's always been about receiving with Tony Pollard. It's a bummer we just haven't seen him hit big plays this season. But
it's getting better though. Like his legs are clearly getting back under him, which is nice. It's getting.
You can run on Miami. I like Tony Pollard a ton this week. Okay, so
I think it's just
congrats to all the Breece Hall owners who got eliminated last week. He is going to absolutely smash this week in a game that will not matter for you.
He's going to go off against Washington.
Big in the consolation bracket.
He's going to go nuts. He's going to go nuts against Washington. Okay, moving on to the next tier of guys here. Running backs 13 through 19. I've got Isiah Pacheco. Welcome back off of shoulder surgery. That is the most under-the-cover shoulder. That is the most undercover shoulder surgery I can remember in a long time. It was like, oh, he didn't get hurt. Now he's hurt. Oh, now he had shoulder surgery. But Isiah Pacheco, welcome back. Running back 13. Aaron Jones, running back 14. Zeke Elliott, running back 15. Saquon Barkley, 16. Josh Jacobs, 17. Chuba, 18. Austin Ekeler. 19.
Yuck.
Ekeler. I don't know. This tier's got some vets. He's got some wily vets in the mix. This is a big week for Aaron Jones. This is a great matchup against Carolina and a must-win spot. Kind of feels like Aaron Jones could go off here. I like Zeke this week. This is the best matchup for running backs against Denver. The guy's essentially has an insane usage with Ramondre injured. I like Josh Jacobs this week. If you got him, play him. He had a big run against Kansas City the last time they played. Chuba Hubbard quietly the RB8 in production. I mean, RB8 in usage, RB11 in production over the last month. What an excellent year for Chuba that literally no one's talking about. And then Austin Ekeler. What's the usage going to be with the new coach, with Jeff or Jiff or however we're pronouncing it? I don't know. I don't know what to do with Ekeler.
Call me crazy. And this is very unlikely if you picked Austin Ekeler in the first round of your drafts. There is a slim chance that you're in the playoffs still and alive. If you are, and if I was, I don't think I could play Austin Ekeler. I truly don't think I could play him after what I saw this past week. It feels
it's
impossible.
Dark, it's really
like this
dark.
is such a weird range of guys.
I'm playing him.
This
I'm playing him in a dynasty league because I have to. I'm playing him and Aaron Jones.
Well, yeah, dynasty leagues are so deep with different positions and stuff. I understand that, but like, I don't know. I could go into this next tier and think of people that I would rather start over Austin Ekeler for sure, like Kenneth Walker, Achane, Montgomery. I would start this entire tier over Austin Ekeler. And then another weird one in this range is also Chuba. I mean, they're just running him 20 times a game. Like, he is a purely usage play. Now, is it going to like, yeah, he might go for 20 touches and 80 yards, but it's just a weird range for me. There's a lot of guys in this next tier that I would slightly bump above like most of them, honestly. I like Aaron Jones. I think Pacheco's been great. If he's healthy and good to go, I'm okay with that. Zeke is interesting based off usage, but you could talk me into Saquon, Jacobs, Hubbard, and Ekeler all going below like Jonathan Taylor range.
And Jonathan Taylor could be higher. My only thing is Austin Ekeler against Denver has a great game, looks really good. Then he comes back out. His team like is trying to get other running backs on the field who are terrible and fumbling, and his team loses 70-20, and his coach gets fired. How do we know that the interim coach is not just gonna be like, all right, Austin, we're just gonna let you play running back? Like,
Easton Stick is the problem. It's not so much Austin Ekeler. It's like it's an entire offensive problem. Like, they don't have
checkdowns,
game changers with like Mike's been gone, right? And that changes everything. Quentin Johnston is a question mark up until this point. Keenan might not play. Like, there's just not enough game changers to open up the game for Ekeler, and he's not a running back that can do everything. Like, there needs to be other elements of the Chargers offense in order to get Austin Ekeler more space to run. Is all I'm saying.
If Keenan doesn't play, that offense is so 10 out of 10 Jover this week. Like,
they're gonna get
even on the scheme plays for Ekeler last week against Las Vegas, like you saw that they scheme him out on the out wide, put him in motion where he slightly comes in. They try and run the screen, and boom, it gets picked off. Like, I can't trust Easton Stick to get the ball to Austin Ekeler, even when they're schemed up.
Sick play.
It was super sick, but it's just it's not Ekeler that I'm mad at.
Yeah,
maybe I am a little bit. But
I guess
I am mad at the
Chargers. Get it.
I
think the Ekeler FUD is very real. I'm just saying, like, and you're not outright saying it's Jover, he's dead. And I think sitting him and having, being a little afraid makes sense. I just think it's not. I'm in a wait and see.
If you own him, you probably already lost. Let's be realistic here. Yeah. If you own Austin if you made it to the semifinals with Austin Ekeler on your roster,
dude,
tip of the cap, my lad. That's really well done on your part. Yeah, because like there's just no way you got that far with that draft capital and the results you got.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail it. I just like there's a couple guys in that range that I would.
That was the guy that I had in here too. That's like it just makes me sad because it's like wow. How the mighty have fallen is the best way to put it. It's just disaster season for him.
Moving on to the next tier, guys. Here, running backs 20 through 26. Kenneth Walker, Devon Achane, David Montgomery, Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, Jaylen Warren, and Travis Etienne. God, I love Kenneth Walker. It was so sick to watch him go off. He's so good. When he gets like 20 carries and he doesn't get hurt after the first 6, he is just
Dude, it's sick.
He's just going to wear down a defense and just hit the most outrageous home runs. Like, every play is going to either get -6 yards or 60. It's just, if you are just an addict and you're just all or nothing, Kenneth Walker is just like mainlining fantasy football into your brain. It's the best.
The touchdown run with Drew Lock out lead blocking, where he just like snatched that defender's soul and just like once he made that juke, you're like, and he's gone. And he's at like probably like the 22-yard line at that point. And I'm like, he's gone. I'm like,
he took such a ridiculous path to get there as well too. And
but
Shaun,
you knew,
so right.
but you knew it's just gone. He's gone.
He's not like he's one of those running backs that like just give him the ball 20 times because at like touch 13. 14 and 15, he's already beaten you up. And at touch 17, he's gone because you can't handle him anymore. Just keep feeding him.
He was getting stronger too as the game went on. He was like churning out 5-8 yards a touch, whether it be on like a quick little dump off or a carry. It was like the second half, I feel like he really, really came into.
He has like that suit that Chad what's his name? The actor in Black Panther has in that where he like absorbs contact and then makes him stronger and releases energy from the suit. Like that's how Kenneth Walker runs.
Wow.
Like every hit he takes,
Yeah.
like I'm building more strength.
Sick
He
reference.
delivers it, man.
Sick
Yeah,
reference.
he's nice.
Everyone knows your references are tight. Achane's going to have to hit a home run here soon. We just watched James Cook just go bonkers, ballistic. I kind of feel good about Achane having a good week.
Yeah.
He's an RB2. I think I've been a little aggressive making him RB1. He's an RB2 right now with RB1 upside. I think that's a safe place to put him. Anyone else in this tier? I know JT is sitting here. Tough matchup, but I mean, he's JT, you know.
If he's healthy and Zach Moss is still banged up, like I really like Jonathan Taylor this week. I think the Colts might rout them, and Arthur loses his job over it. I mean, Shane Steichen is putting on a masterclass of coaching.
Hose me down. I mean, talk about a complete antithesis of Arthur Smith, where Shane Steichen calls 6 plays. He just calls the same 4 RPOs and 2 runs. He just spams it like it's 4 verticals in Madden. And he just delivers the ball to Michael Pittman, gets the ball to Jonathan Taylor, and he just knows what he's fucking doing. He just gets the ball in his playmaker's hands. Arthur is the opposite of that. So
the amount of times that like we've gotten into like Arthur like dark hole, it like I hate him so much. I just like that's what we always come back to is like I hate you so much, Arthur Smith. And I have no shame in saying that.
Moving on to the next tier, guys, here. Running backs 27 through 32. I've got Jerome Ford, James Conner, Ty Chandler, Javonte Williams, Devin Singletary, and Gus Edwards. I know people have been super high on Devin Singletary. Cleveland has been relatively stingy to running backs. I wouldn't get super aggressive with him this week. Even Ty Chandler, who looked fantastic against a bad Cincinnati front. Detroit has now surpassed Philadelphia for having the best run defense at suppressing fantasy points to running backs. So this tier, I like Jerome Ford because he's got the PPR upside, but I'm not super juiced about anyone in this tier. Thoughts on this tier before we get to the last group of guys?
Not really. I think James Conner has a brutal matchup. The Browns, what was it? Yeah, they just rushed for 1.6 yards a carry last week. So I know Shaun's mentioned a couple times like James Conner ruining his Christmas. I don't think you need to worry about that this year. I think James Conner has his work cut out this week. That was kind of the only guy I wanted to, no bias, talk about this week.
This is such a brutal territory of running backs where like you think, well, James Conner just propelled me maybe into a fantasy playoff spot. And like Ty Chandler just saved my ass in playoffs. And like, Devin Singletary just went off and like saved my ass in a round. And now you're looking at these guys like, fuck. Yeah. Oh,
I don't think I can do it again. I don't think I can do it. Yeah. Be careful with these ones.
Next group of guys that I have here, running backs 33 to running back 39. I don't know why I didn't do 40. I felt spicy. Najee Harris, Antonio Gibson, Jerick McKinnon, Tyjae Spears, D'Onta Foreman, Chase Brown, Roschon Johnson. So this group of guys, whoever is going to be the lead running back this weekend for the Chicago Bears,
dude, that's what I was
you have a phenomenal matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. However, D'Onta Foreman, after being the clear running back, then moved into being the third running back, with Roschon being the 1 and Khalil Herbert being the 2. It makes no sense how they deploy this group.
They're fucking with us. That's what I was going to say. Is Luke Getsy is fucking with us. So I don't know if Roschon just played more because like the Browns blitzed so much, which might have been the case because that was the week prior against the Vikings too. It was like he's the best pass pro. And he got eaten up like barbecue chicken in pass pro. Like it was a disaster this week against the Browns. I'm no longer taking a stand on a take in that backfield because they're playing games with us. Like you have no idea who's going to be the lead back there. Don't start any of them. No, ideally, Justin Fields scores all the rushing touchdowns, and you start him, and he gets you 30 points.
Any thoughts on this tier, Keegan?
The only thing I care about is watching what happens with Tyjae Spears. I saw those quotes. I don't know if everybody saw them from Derrick Henry. It was
so
kind of
good.
a bummer to hear him say. He was just like, I really wish I could go out on a bang. Like I didn't want things to end like this. Kind of sounds like he's hopefully not nearing the end of his career. I'd love to see Derrick Henry give it a couple more goes on a contender, but definitely nearing his time in Tennessee. So not really fantasy related, but just like future outlook related. I'm curious to see if Tennessee's just like, you know what, Derrick, like it's time to give Tyjae some work. Like it would be pretty cool to see Tyjae in a feature role. They don't have anything to play for.
Yeah, I think Shaun's note is a good way to put it. Like, I think that makes the most sense, but I just don't think it's happening this year. I think this is a guy that we're going to be targeting in redraft this summer that we're definitely going to talk about. But I'm just more saying like I'm curious to watch how it unfolds towards the end of the year.
If you liked James Cook this year, you are gonna fucking love Tyjae Spears because that is who I'm going to be very excited about Tyjae.
And he's lighter on his feet. He doesn't have any ACLs to wear him down.
Yeah, he's floating out there. He's limitless.
Limitless. I honestly think there could be a little like a legacy
limitless,
limitless too, ligamentless, starring Tyjae Spears and Bradley Cooper. It's wow, Tyjae, big movie star now with Bradley Cooper. Wow, if you made it this far. If you've made it this far, and please subscribe if you're that down with listening to us bullshit this far into an episode. Okay, yeah, I think that's it for running backs.
That's all I got, man. That's
all I got. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you for rocking with us. We hope you win your matchups. Start the Dolphins running backs. Come on, live a little. Start Achane if you got him. Don't bench Achane. Don't be a coward. I'm riding Achane against. I've got Tyreek and Achane against Aidan this week. So go Fins. I'm a big Dolphins guy this week.
Go Waddle.
Waddle and Mostert. Even though
Waddle.
I have got Mostert.
Shit, let's get Jeff Wilson some touches.
All right. Let's get out of here. Thank
you everybody for tuning in, and until next time.